Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Charlotte Tea Tuesdays. I'm so excited to have everyone
Mhm.
here on this beautiful Tuesday, and I have a special guest today, Miss Nancy Anderson. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. And you are with Bridge to Safety. Is that correct? And that's a new program here that's in the great city of Oklahoma City. And so we want to learn all about Bridge to Safety and how can we as the community support you and what do you all need from us? So tell us a little bit about yourself and also about your organization.
Okay. I'm from Canada. I just moved here last October. So later this month, I'll be here for 1 year officially. Um, in my past, I've
Oh,
gone through a lot of trauma and issues, and so this cause is very, very near and dear to my heart. I came here and I see a need. I see a lot of people have nowhere to go. So we in Canada things a little bit differently. Do have shelters, but um, when they are, they just place them in hotels. So I thought that here, if the shelters are too full to be able um, to handle the number of people that need help, why are we not them in hotels? So that's what we're doing.
mhm.
We families in crisis, individuals in crisis, homeless, on the verge of homelessness, any type of crisis that you can think of, we can assist with in one way or another. So we generally place people in confidential, safe hotel rooms. We have partnerships with hotels in the area. We place them there. We provide them food, hygiene items, care baskets, counseling, employment support. We do workshops for um, financial literacy, teaching them how to stretch a dollar. We workshops with them. I will go in rooms and cook for them. Hotels, you only have a
Oh,
microwave in
wow.
the room, so we give them the multi cookers so that they can slow cook or pressure cook or whatever functions the machine has. And I'll go in and cook them a meal to teach them how to use it, and then they have a way to eat home cooked food in the hotels as well. We provide clothing, B items. They call me for all kinds of things, and whatever they need, we try our best to provide for them.
Okay. I love that. Now, I know you said you're recently new to Oklahoma. Was Oklahoma by choice
Yeah.
for you to move to this state from Canada?
Oh yeah. My husband is from here. He's born here. He's also in the military. He's a
Oh,
veteran.
okay. Okay.
He's stationed here now, and he's all here. So we moved here to be
Oh,
closer to his family and have kind of a family support system, and
okay.
for his work. So
Okay.
it was
Understood.
definitely on
Yes,
purpose.
definitely.
Canada's cold. I like the cold.
Oh yes. I've never been to Canada, but I've heard that it's cold up there. We get cold every
Mm-hmm.
now and then in Oklahoma. Every now and then. I think one winter we were negative 24 degrees, and that was the coldest I've ever
Wow.
felt since I've been alive. So yes, it does happen. So with Oklahoma and well, let me back up. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a lot of people may or may
That's
not
right.
know about that. But with that being said, Oklahoma is consistently ranked in the top 10 states of women being murdered by men in single offenders or incidents since 1996. So we continue to be in the top for domestic violence. And so I'm curious as to why, why is that? Why do I mean, I know someone always has to be within the top something of any ranking, but Why is domestic violence such a prevalent incident in the state?
I wish I had the answer for that. I feel I have my opinions. I don't know them as facts, but my opinion is the judicial system is not doing enough. That's my personal opinion. I had one of our volunteers call her, and she told me that she was abused, and she went to court, and the judge said to her that the bruises on her photos were not dark enough, so they didn't punish the abuser. And I'm like, she has dark skin. How do you want the bruises to look? And then on top of that, where's the chart that shows the variation of which shade of bruising equals punishment? Where's that chart? Because that shouldn't be a thing.
Right.
Um, if there was bruising all, isn't that proof he did something? So I mean, I don't understand how they're coming up with these strange reasons to not punish these abusers.
Well, it's by him stating that to her, it almost makes you feel as if you're not important enough because, or you haven't been, I hate to say it like this, but you haven't been beaten enough to go against
Yeah.
your accuser or partner or whomever. Um, I think when things are said in that magnitude, or even because I'm quite sure she shared what was said to her in other capacity, that it makes people not want to reach out for help because, well, if I
That's right.
reach
And
out or
it's
say
unfortunate.
something, right, nobody's going to believe me, or
Yeah.
they're not going to do anything to the person. Um, so yeah, I know you don't know that answer, but I just wanted to ask that question, because it makes me
Yeah.
wonder of what we could do more. What more could we do? I feel like education is out there, but then I think I also know that it depends on who is being educated. Education pretty much starts at the house. And so if we are talking to our children, whether they're male or female, about the relationships and bonds and not feeling like in order for somebody to love you, they have to put their hands on you. But it's also the point of if that's what I saw when I was growing up, then that's what I'm probably going to do when I have my own children, because, well, that's what I'm used to. So it looked fine with mom and dad. So, or auntie and grandma or whomever. So I know it's just, it, I don't know. It makes you feel like what to do? What is there to do?
I think a big problem is nobody's helping the abuser. And I know that probably sounds strange because the abuser is the one causing this. But I feel like if there was more help geared towards not just helping the person that's been abused, but also getting the abuser into their own counseling or anger management therapy, something to help them with their anger issues, they may not continue doing this to the next person they're with, or the same person that they're with if they're still together. But I think that the abusers also need help. They need to be not, I don't know that punishment is necessarily the answer. I'm sure in many cases it is, but I don't think in every case. I think often they need help. They need to learn how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way and not take it out on their significant other.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that, and I'm going to give kudos to KOCO. They had a Oklahoma Chronicle. I want to say not this past Sunday, but 2 Sundays ago. I'm trying to remember. It may have been right at the beginning of October, but they mentioned, they were talking about domestic violence and the history of Oklahoma, and how 40 years ago they were talking about the statistics and how they were trying to figure out why Oklahoma was rising in violence against women. And that segment was I had to record it because I was busy doing other things, and I was like, okay, I can't pay attention to this, but I'm gonna come back to it. But they talked about a particular lady that was asking for help. She called the 911, and she said, my boyfriend XYZ, he said he's going to do this to me. I'm trying to just let somebody know that I'm afraid. I'm concerned for my life, blase blase. Um and I think it went maybe a day or two went by, and she called again. And she said he's outside, he's circling the area. I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's saying that he's going to do something to me. And you can hear the recording. And what ended up happening is, I guess they got the lady's name wrong when they
Oh.
when they asked her, "Ma'am, what's your name?" And um, they had it one way, but her name was that it wasn't that way. But anyways, 45 minutes later, she was killed. And so they
Oh.
talk about now. Wait a minute. If I'm calling and I'm reaching out asking for help to the right people. I mean, usually when you need help and it's a dire emergency, we're calling 911, right? We've been taught that since we were little. So it's like, how is the system failing me if I'm asking for help and then you don't show up? You don't respond.
I didn't plan on getting into this, but I this for literal hours about the way things are being done here. A lot of the places that are supposed to be providing help to these people, they're failing. They're not doing their job properly. I'm not going to name specific names, but I've seen it with my own eyes. I went on a tour recently and to this specific shelter, and there were empty beds, but they were turning people away and telling them we have no beds available, but they had a ton of empty beds.
Wow.
It was like a ghost town. There was barely anybody there. I have people calling for help to assault. I withdrew the application for that, and we're admitting to do all families in crisis. But when we were doing that, we don't have our certification, so we can't help those groups. We have to send them to call the Oklahoma Safe Line, which is a great resource to help give you numbers to call. But when you call the numbers, there's no space for you. Beds are full. Meanwhile, you've got the specific shelter that's saying beds are full, but beds are not full. So it's like they're turning people away, and these people, their choices are stay on the streets or return to their abuser. And that's not okay. That's not a choice that someone should have to make. Do I want to sleep on the street, or do I want to go be abused? Because even though there's beds available, they're telling me there's not. And, we had one lady say to me, please help me. I've been trying for 2 years to from this specific shelter, and I can't get in. And for 2 years, I've been trying to escape my abuser, and he keeps finding me when I get away. And it was like a big mess for this poor woman. And I said to her, I'm sorry, you have to call the Oklahoma Safe Line. I cannot, I can't anywhere because I'm not certified for that. So you need to go to the Safe Line and get it dealt with. And she was very upset. She was doing this by text because she had been abused and her vocal cords were damaged and she couldn't speak. So she was texting this with me and asked me for help. And oh, it was heartbreaking. I cried because I had to keep turning her away, and I can't help her, and they're not helping her. And a lot of these places say that they help with stalking, but the reason for 2 years that she hasn't been able to get the help is because they said that taking her in because she's being stalked, she puts the other residents in danger. So they're turning her away, even though they have a big sign that says we help stalking. They're turning away people that are being stalked. So this woman was living in her car to help her.
But everyone that you're providing a service with is in danger. That's the reason why you're providing a service, because they need your help. So how can okay, let me slow down because I was getting ready to.
She's very upset. She asked me, I heard, I cried because she asked me, why don't I matter? And I said, you matter to me she said, then why can't you help me? And I said, I'm not allowed. I can't risk having our program that helps so many people shut down because we don't follow rules. So we have to follow the rule. And I said, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You have to reach out to the Safe Line. You have to do it the proper way. And she said, but they won't take me for 2 years. I've been trying. They're turning me away. She lives in a car now. She says, I live in a car. I have nowhere safe to go. So I helped her out. I gave her the proper forms to file to make her complaint, and so that she could out to the Attorney General's office and get some help. And I believe that she's pursuing that. I don't know because I'm not in touch with her anymore. But it broke my. She asked me, why don't I matter? I told her, you do matter. You matter, And she said, but they won't help me. It breaks my heart. And like I said, I didn't really want to. I didn't plan on bringing it up today because I could go on forever about that situation. But it is a problem here because these are places that are getting large amounts of funding from the community, and it looks like they're not using it correctly, and that's not okay.
Right. It's not okay. And the numbers continue to increase. I mean, we can tell by just turn on the news at 5 or 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, and there's gonna be a report of some type of domestic issue that has taken place. Someone is either stabbed, someone died, or someone killed their children, or some type of, parent suicide or whatever. And so it's like, we see the need, but we don't provide resources. And I know in order for us to have the resources, we have to have the funding. But if we don't have the funding to provide the resources, then what are we doing? And to me, I just feel like we're spinning around in circles and we keep pushing people in different directions.
Because of the lack of funding, we are struggling. I started this in late July, and I funded everything out of pocket. We helped 83 families in a period of 3 months. 83 families. Out of those 83 families that we helped, 71 are stable today still, with employment that we helped them to get, housing that we helped them to get. We don't just, a lot of shelters here, see, and I'm not trying to put down the shelters. There are good shelters here. There definitely are. It's just full, and there's so much need that they have no choice but to turn people away. Some shelters don't allow pets. Some shelters don't allow children. Some shelters won't allow teenage boys. If you have a son and he's a teenager and you need to go to that shelter, you can't get your son with you because if there are abused women in that shelter, they don't want to be around. The boys are a trigger for them, the teenagers. Sure. So a lot of places have different rules. Each place has their own set of rules, and it's very difficult for people to navigate which is the right place to go, where do they fit. So our program tries to cater to everybody. If you have children, it's fine. You got a teenage son, we'll help them. If pets, bring them. All the hotels that we work with are pet friendly. We do our very best to make sure the family can stay together as a unit, because it's very important for support, for their mental health, for their safety. They have to stay together. Even the pets, they have to stay together.
Right. Definitely got to stay together. So with Bridge to Safety, you created it in, you said July.
Late July.
Late July. Okay. So you're almost at the 6-month mark.
We're like 3 August. September. I know. So we're like 2 months.
Right. It'll be December before we know it. And then, but you're almost at that 6 months mark. What has been the most challenging thing for you being a new nonprofit in this state and age?
Funding. I would say funding. I paid for everything out of pocket because I had to. I didn't want to come out, and I've met with commissioners. I've met with the chief of staff of the mayor's office. Like, I'm meeting people for funding. I'm looking for help and resources and guidance. It's very difficult when you're new because a lot of the bigger places that give funding require you to have so many years of financial records to show them. When you're new, you don't have financial records to show them. So right. I didn't want to come and put my hand out and say, please give me money for my program that I don't know if it works. So I decided to start it and see how it goes. And if I was successful, which so far we have been, then I will go and approach them with my proof and say, this is how many people we've helped. This is what we've done for them. This is how we did it. We stabilize people very quickly. Out of those 83 people, 71 are still stable. And we did that within, we usually don't keep people more than 4 weeks. Usually we can get them pretty stable in 4 weeks. We get them jobs through partners like Hobby Lobby, Walmart. They have many positions available all the time, so they help us with that. There are others. There's a daycare center that has several locations who's reached out and said that they would take people as well, staff-wise. So we have a lot of community help. That's one thing I can say that's wonderful about Oklahoma is there are so many people in this community that want to help.
Right.
They
definitely.
want to do the right thing. They have the heart for it, and it's wonderful. We partner with many other nonprofits like the Pet Food Pantry of Oklahoma City. They provide everything for the pets that we serve. They create wonderful gift baskets with beds and treats and toys and harnesses and whatever you can think of, cat litter, cat food, cat treats, anything you can think of that pet will need, they will provide to that pet. We partner with another wonderful nonprofit called All Things Baby, who provides us with all items for the children, from diapers, clothing, toys, books, anything you can think of that would be great for children. They'll create a basket for us children as well. So we have a lot of help. So the way that I've overcome the financial issue is by reaching out to other organizations that have services so that we can partner and they will help provide things and it won't cost us anything. So we're very frugal. We are very frugal. Even our counselors do pro bono work for us. We try our best to make this as cost effective as possible because we don't have funding right now, but we do have our fundraiser coming up. So fundraising is a big way that we can help to continue this program because it's been so successful and we don't want to have to stop it due to funding. I hate every time I have to tell somebody we don't have the funds right now, it kills me. I want to be able to help every single person that calls us, and we get so many calls every day. Anywhere between 5 to 12 calls per day. So there's a lot of need. Yeah, there's a lot of need for people who,
That's good. It's good to know that your business is needed, but I know it's also stressful to know that you're searching for funding and it's limited in certain places, especially when you are a new nonprofit. So in any crisis, you are not alone. Help starts here is what it states on your website. What made you create the term bridge to safety? And it's a 2 with the number 2, safety.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
There is. There is.
Okay.
The gap that I saw to fill was shelters are full, so people have nowhere to go. So we're kind of the bridge that they cross to get to that point. So it can't get into a shelter right away. We can house them temporarily until there is a spot available at that shelter. Oftentimes, we don't even need to pass them on to another shelter because we will see them in that 4-week time period. So we act just as a short little bridge that they get across to stability and to gaining their life back and their power back in their life. And the number 2 is because they're not alone. So instead of using the word 2, I thought the number 2 was just cute because the big thing I always tell them is you're not alone. The people that work with us love us because like I said, I will go to their hotel room and cook them a meal. I don't just ensure that they're okay and give them the basics. I go beyond the basics.
Right.
Like to buy them a multi-cooker so that they could eat microwave meals. Most places probably wouldn't care and wouldn't give it to them. But I want them to have a home cooked meal. I want them to feel, I don't want them to be dehumanized because they're going through a hard time in their life. They have a crisis going on and now they're being treated like less than when they're not. Nobody's better than anybody else. God created us all equal. So in my opinion, because we're created all equal, a richer person isn't better than that poor person who's struggling right now. And we should be lending our hand to them and helping them as best we can to make them feel human again, because oftentimes they just don't anymore.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that because we are all one little step away from any type of crisis, or being in
That's
a
right.
similar situation. Like you had mentioned about the lady earlier that was living in her car. You just imagine having to be put on the streets and you're having to live in your car, or even if you don't have a car and you're having to be placed on the streets. And now they have so many laws and things that they're doing to where that it's illegal for you to sleep on um public property. They have all these different restrictions and things that they're doing, but it's like, where
Yeah.
is the help? Like, I'm looking for a solution, instead of just making a law saying you can't do this and you can't do that, because we're so
And
quick
that's
to
what
point
I
fingers.
think. I think our program works very well for that
Yeah.
because there's, if you have a shelter, let's say, for example, you have a shelter with 50 rooms or 100 rooms, you have a capacity
Mhm.
that you meet. You cannot put more than 50 people in there if there's only 50 beds. You can't put more than 100 people in if you only have 100 beds. There's many hotels here. We have, I don't want to say unlimited beds, but we have a lot of beds in all kinds of hotels that these people can be placed in. So, as long as we have the funding to help, we don't have a reason to turn people away.
Mm.
It's a matter of paying the hotels, and the hotels we work with are amazing. They give us deeply discounted rates. We were paying a bit more at the start, and then partnered up with a few hotels who liked what we were doing and approached us and said we would like to partner with you on this and offer you a good rate. And right now, we can two king size beds in a room for $320 a week.